Hello, I'm Brandy Bender, and I'd like to speak to you for a moment about effective use of calculators in the classroom. So they are a great technology that we can use with students from kindergarten all the way through high school. And I just want you to know when and how it's appropriate to use the calculator in the classroom. In kindergarten, first and second grade, this is a good time to just simply introduce the calculator as we're working on number sense with the children. And in the calculator that's pictured here, there are large numbers and buttons so that it's easy for the children to see and to press the buttons. And I would recommend using this calculator at this age level for when we're doing number sense and we want children to know what's one more or what's one less, what's two more or two less. And then that's introducing them to the addition and subtraction symbols and the equal sign as well. As you get on to second grade, you will probably want to consider adding in the multiplication sign because you'll be working with arrays and you can show them how to count the length and the width of the array and use the multiplication sign to find the answer after they have done their calculations. When our students are moving into grades 3 through 5, we're adding more complicated arithmetic. We're starting division and fractions. So there has to be a lot more for students. And there are some really great calculators that when you are doing division, they will show you the division with the remainder as a whole number rather than a decimal. So that is something really great for your students who are doing that long division for self-correcting their work. And that's where I think a calculator is most appropriate in grades 3 through 5 because you're really starting to teach your students some bigger concepts at this point, and you really want to make sure that you've given them the content and the concepts of the mathematics before introducing the calculator. And then when you start with it, use it as a self-checking tool. And of course, for our students who need extra support in the classroom, for math, a calculator is always a great tool. As we move into middle school, our students are really starting to amp up their needs with a calculator, and so they're going to need a scientific calculator that will have squaring a number, sending a number to a higher power than a square. And it will be very important that as we teach our students how to use this scientific calculator to work with their math problems, that we teach them how to use the scientific calculator because there are so many different operations and how you enter things matters in the scientific calculator. So make sure that when you're ready to allow your students to use the scientific calculator, that you are teaching them, putting the calculator underneath your overhead projector and showing them what buttons you're pressing in what order, and have them take notes or make them a graphic organizer so that they can have that information with them when they are not there to hear you saying how to use this calculator. And this Texas Instruments model was recommended to me as a college student at Yakima Valley Community College, and I really think this is a simple model to use. Now in high school, as our students are doing a lot more graphing with quadratic equations and functions, and there's sine, cosine, and tangent in Algebra 2. This graphing calculator is going to come in handy. And again, like with the scientific calculator, demonstrate to students how to enter things and to use the graphing calculator properly, because if they don't input properly, they're not going to get the right answer. And that just leads to more problems. But really, we are in the 21st century. We've got such great sophisticated calculators that can help us to teach students. We just need to make sure at the same time as we're teaching that those concepts in the math content is really known by our students before we introduce the calculators, because otherwise it's just not truly teaching them. In conclusion, I just wanted to recognize that there are teachers out there who do not look favorably at using calculators in math, but if you look at the Common Core, in the standards of mathematical practice, the use of a calculator is mentioned in more than one of those standards. Again, I can't stress this point enough. The concepts and content of the mathematics should be a solid knowledge base for our students before we introduce the calculator into their toolbox. Great tool for self-correcting themselves, and it's a great simple accommodation for students with special needs, especially that first calculator with the large buttons. If we have motor difficulties, they have the bigger button, which makes it easier for them to use. And if your students can't or don't have access to getting a calculator, have them look on their iPhone, their Android, a computer, whatever they might have for a calculator app. There are great calculator apps out there that they can use. And I also wanted to mention that the keys on our most basic calculator, again that first one, are a transfer. This keypad here relates to the 10 key section on a keyboard. It is upside down on the pin pads in the grocery store, but it's there. It's on the ATM. So really, you could even use this in a special needs class to help your students become familiar with the number pad. So it's just a fascinating tool. And I thank you for watching.